It turns out that bombing the moon worked. 5 weeks ago, you'll recall that we crashed a spacecraft deliberately into the moon. Pow, right in the kisser. The idea was that the impact would send up a plume of debris. NASA would analyze that debris to find out exactly what type of green cheese and everything else the moon was made of. As a side benefit, everyone thought that the spectacle of the moon bombing would be a really cool thing to watch from Earth. It wasn't. The live video stream was a little hinky, and even astronomers with really good telescopes couldn't really see much of a moon bombing at all. So as a spectacle, bust. But as an audacious, ambitious science experiment, bingo! What NASA was really looking for in that debris plume was water, and they found it, a lot of it. That plume that we couldn't see from Earth contained at least 24 gallons of ice and water vapor, along with all kinds of other unidentified compounds. We also learned as a result of this experiment that NASA can be really cute and snarky when they are excited about something. Their press release on their findings today started with, quote, "The argument that the moon is a dry, desolate place no longer holds water." The chief scientist for the mission declared, quote, "The moon is alive." And another scientist proclaimed, "This is not your father's moon." Because NASA is excited, I will admit I'm excited. But I will also admit that I'm not otherwise exactly sure why this is an exciting thing. To help me understand and help you understand what I will admit to being excited about before really understanding it, we will turn to Emmy Award winner and scientist Bill Nye, the Science Guy. Bill, thank you very much for being here.
Oh, Rachel, it's so good to be here.
Am I just experiencing pointless excitement by proxy, or is there cause to be psyched that there's water on the moon?
Yes, and sort of. So, first of all, freezer burn. You ever left something in the freezer and it dries out?
Yeah.
Goes away. The water goes away. Because the freezer, being cold, can't hold water vapor very well. So when you go to the south pole of the moon, to a crater that never gets any sunlight for, say, the last 300 million years, you would expect a lot of freezer burn.
Fair enough. Sure, you'd expect it to be all sorts of hoarfrosty. You wouldn't want to eat that ice cream.
No, you'd expect it to evaporate.
Okay.
That's what I'm driving at. You expect all the water to evaporate. But since about 1961, people have argued that there's enough chemical attraction between water and the rocks of the lunar regolith, the lunar soil, that the water should persist there where the sun, if I may, don't shine. And so, in fact, it has. They smacked it hard. We smacked it hard enough, and this plume, as you described it, went up into space, and it had about 100 kilos had 10 kilos of water in it, and that's surprising, surprising to many. But let me just say, I don't think this is cause for everybody to build a nuclear reactor and send a bunch of astronauts to the moon with my tax dollars to have a moon base and live off the land. That is an extraordinary step.
And do you think that, this obviously proved that the people who thought that there could be water there were right. As you're alluding to, the other thing that it seems to imply is that because there's water there, the moon might be more helpful to us than we otherwise thought it might have been in terms of getting out further into the universe to see what's there. You think the water there doesn't help us, or you don't care about what's on the moon?
Oh, no. Here, there's two questions, Rachel, that plague humans from the moment they start being humans. Where did we come from, and are we alone? So what you'd want to do is go to a place that has water. That's what we'd all want to do, thinking that the chemistry that makes us would have similar chemistry on another world, and maybe we would find evidence of life or a means for to support our own lives, to have a camp, a moon base. But there's so little water. Like, there may be less water, for example, in the Antarctic desert than there is in the lunar surface. But that there is any water at all is remarkable. Instead,
yes,
I would prefer us to send people to Mars, where it's also dry, but perhaps we could use the same techniques we used here looking for water to look for water on Mars, and a logical place to look for life, and then we would answer questions about where we came from.
Is the problem, the disadvantage scientifically to you of going to the moon sort of a been there, done that thing, that we should be shooting at Mars so that we don't just keep doing something that we've done before?
That's right. And people argue that we need to go to the moon in order to learn how to go to Mars. Well, we would remind you that we have dozens of assets of spacecraft on Mars as it is, and when humans first went to the moon, they'd never been there before. You go a place you haven't been before because you haven't been there before. So it's exciting, and it's cool, and I remind everybody, in tax dollars, it was done for a very reasonable price. But I don't think this justifies building a moon base and having human farms with greenhouses and so on.
Bill Nye, the science guy, thank you for helping us put this in perspective. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me on, Rachel. Let's change the world.
Yay. Thank you at home for watching tonight as well. We will see you on Monday night. Have a spectacular weekend. Thanks for joining us. You can email us, rachel@msnbc.com. You can also download our podcast at iTunes or at rachel.msnbc.com. Have a good one.